Good day, everyone. In this section, we will discuss about the biodiversity and the healthy society. So the objective of this discussion is to identify the importance of biodiversity as a source of different biological resources, examine the relationship between society, environment, and health, and determine how humans benefit from biodiversity and how they threaten it. So let's start. Let us first define what is biodiversity. Biodiversity is defined as the variety of life present in an ecosystem. So it is a variety of life present in an ecosystem. So there are three types of biodiversity. So biodiversity is important in how society benefits from it. So there are three types of biodiversity. We have the genetic diversity, species diversity, and then the last one is the ecosystem diversity. So let us discuss these three types of biodiversity. So let us first discuss what is the genetic diversity. So genetic diversity, it refers to the variations among organisms of the same species. These variations are usually passed down from parents to offspring. So these are usually passed down from parents to offspring. So it describes the variety in the number of genetic types as well as the chromosomes present in different species in a given region. So that is the genetic diversity. Next is we have the species diversity. So species diversity, it refers to the variety of species within a particular region or habitat. Kung kanina, the genetic diversity, it refers to the variations among organisms of the same species. Ito namang species diversity, it refers to the variety of species within a particular region or habitat. So, what do we mean by species? Species is a group of organisms of similar individuals that are capable of interbreeding. So these are organisms, a group of organisms that are capable of interbreeding. And how about habitat? Habitat is the place where the different species live. So different habitats, it include tropical rainforest, temperate rainforest, grassland, desert, aquatic, polar ice, and tide pool. So let us discuss those different habitats that is included in this section. So we have the tropical rainforest. So what is a tropical rainforest? So tropical rainforest is a hot moist biome. So these are the tropical rainforests found near Earth's equator. So the world's largest tropical rainforests are in South America, Africa, and Southeast Asia. So yun yung may malaking tropical rainforest sa buong mundo na matatagpuan sa South America, Africa, and then the Southeast Asia. Then, what about temperate rainforest? So temperate rainforest, it is these are characterized by mild climates or temperatures. So essentially, these areas do not experience extremely cold or extremely hot temperatures. So hindi masyadong malamig at hindi rin masyadong mainit na mga temperatura dito sa temperate rainforest. And in grasslands, these are characterized as lands dominated by grasses rather than large shrubs or trees. So savanna is an example of a grassland with scattered individual trees. So hiwa-hiwala yung mga trees, hindi sila yung dikit-dikit yung mga puno. So these are scattered with individual trees, itong savanna. And we have the desert. So a desert is a barren area of landscape where little precipitation occurs and consequently living conditions are hostile for plant and animal life. And ito naman, these are the aquatic. So aquatic means relating to water, So it means water. Living in or near water or taking place in water does not include groundwater as aquatic. It implies an environment where plants and animals live. So another habitat is the aquatic. Next one is the polar ice. So a polar ice cap or a polar cap is a high latitude region of a planet, dwarf planet or natural satellite that is covered in ice. And these are the tide pools. So tide pools, or what we call the rock pools, are shallow pools of seawater that form on the rocky intertidal shore. So many of these pools exist as separate bodies of water only at low tide. So makikita mo lang to kapag low tide yun. So sa mga parang malalapit siya sa dagat pero low tide ito. So tide pools or rock pools yung tinatawag. So let's proceed to the ecosystem. So yun, under yun ng sa habitat. So ecosystem diversity, it refers to the network of different species in an ecosystem and the interaction of these species. So ecosystems are all of the animals, plants, bacteria, and fungi, as well as the physical components of the area. So ecosystem is defined as a biological community that includes all living things interacting in a certain area or region with non-living things such as the weather, climate, temperature, soil, air, sun, atmosphere, among others. So we have here the ecosystem diversity, then we have the species diversity, and then the genetic diversity. So ecosystem diversity, it refers to the biological community that includes all the living things, and under species diversity, itong mga species and then their habitats, and then the genetic diversity, it is the variety in the numbers of genetic types, different species in given region. So those are the three types of biodiversity. So society benefits greatly from the richness of biodiversity since humans can source from nature biological resources such as the food, medicine, energy, and more. So biodiversity in natural ecosystems can also regulate climate, food, pollination, water and air quality, water storage, decomposition of waste, among others. So however, these numerous benefits of biodiversity are vulnerable to exploitation. So humans need to be responsible in optimizing the benefits of biodiversity through the proper utilization of science and technology. So nasa kamay pa rin ng mga tao kung paano nila gagamitin yung pag-manage and pag-protect ng ating biodiversity. So let us discuss the different usage of biodiversity under health and medicine. So herbal medicines were used in healing rituals and in the treatment of injuries from wars and or accidents. So at present, more and more developments are being introduced in the pharmaceutical industry to produce new drugs for the treatment of diseases. So these are the Salvia apiana or the California sage. So tawag dito Salvia apiana or California sage. It aid in the use of this. It is an herbal plant used by Indian tribes of Southern California to aid childbirth and protect the immune system. It was believed to protect the immune system from respiratory ailments. So, ito, Salvia apiana. Then, under food is the basic need of human survival. So, food is the basic need of human survival. During the Stone Age, humans relied only in hunting and foraging to get food. So they depended on what the ecosystem could readily provide them. So noon dati, yung humans relied only is sa mga hunting and foraging to get food. So they depended on what the ecosystem could readily provide them. But as the Earth's population grew, the demand for food increased. So crops that can be grown were discovered and cultivated, and animals were domesticated. So throughout history, yung mga agriculture and cultivation is nag-evolve from picking desirable crops and breeding animals to maintaining stable supply of food. So yung mga vegetable crops and breeding animals para sa supply ng kanilang pagkain. So farmers and fishermen rely on healthy ecosystems for their livelihood. So the benefits of the biodiversity are necessary for the growth of many important crops. So about 39 of the leading 57 global crops needs birds and insects as pollinators. So may tinatawag tayong agro-biodiversity. So what is agro-biodiversity? It is the result of careful selection and innovative developments by farmers, fishers, and herders throughout the years. So yung mga harvested crops harvested crop varieties and non-harvested species in the environment support ecosystem for food production fall under the agro-biodiversity. So it falls from agro-biodiversity yung mga harvested crops and non-harvested species in the environment. And next is we have the energy. So energy, humans rely on energy provided by ecosystem to do the necessary activities in order to survive. So in the Stone Age, heat energy from fire was used mainly for survival against harsh, cold environments. For cooking, pwede rin naman for communication with nearby tribes in the form of smoke. So sa pamamagitan ng mga usok is they use smoke for their communication. So wind energy was also used to navigate throughout bodies of water. So throughout bodies of water. So yung wind energy. So in 1820s, natural gas was used as a source of light, although the lack of pipeline infrastructure made its distribution challenging. Okay. So in 1830s, the electrical generator was developed based on Michael Faraday's discovery of electromagnetism. Okay. So in 1850s, commercial oil was drilled, which led to the distillation of kerosene from petroleum. So meron tayong iba't iba pang mga energy na na-develop like the first nuclear fusion reactor was designed and built. Then in the 19th century and 20th century, the utilization of coal energy shaped the industrialization of the United States, the United Kingdom, and then the other European countries. So the demands for the energy created a positive impact on unconditional ways of producing energy, but in turn this have resulted in adverse effects on biodiversity in terms of wildlife mortality, habitat loss, fragmentation, noise and light pollution, invasive species, and changes in carbon stock and water resources. So let's proceed to the water storage and flood control. So the earliest recorded civilizations were situated near rivers or lakes, which made their livelihoods dependent on water. So with increasing demand for potable and drinkable water along with the discovery of groundwater 2,000 years ago, yung mga wells began to be used in the Middle East. So the water from the rivers and lakes was also used for irrigation. So yung mga tubig na galing sa mga ilog at mga lawa ay ginagamit na rin for irrigation. So to cope with the adverse effects of the changing tides, floodways were utilized to prevent flooding in nearby communities that usually result in damaged crops. So meron tayong tinatawag na aqueduct. So this is what we call the aqueduct. So aqueduct were invented and built by the Romans and Greeks to maintain stable water supplies to communities that were far from bodies of water. So, in the late 19th century, with the increasing demand for potable water and irrigation of crops, yung mga dams ay sinunod na i-build for their water supply in the community, yung mga dam. Okay. So, biodiversity in forests plays an unquestionably crucial role in water resources. So, yung mga forests provide natural filtration and storage system to provide fresh water. So, yung flooding, hindi ibig sabihin na yung flooding is nakakasama na sa biodiversity sa ating environment. Meron din siyang mga benefits na nadadala. So, flooding is mostly known for its adverse effects, but it also has some benefits. Flooding can help farmers for it distributes nutrients that particularly patches of soil lacked. So yung mga floods can also add nutrients to rivers and lakes, thus improving the ecosystem. So it can add nutrients and rivers and lakes that in improving the ecosystem. However, these benefits are not always achieved because most of the time, flooding causes long-term damages. So, hindi siya ganon ka-benefit, but most of the time, itong flooding can cause long-term damages. Gaya ng mga dumaan sa ating bagyo, na kung nakita nyo naman, especially yung doon sa saan ba yun? Yung doon sa dam na nasira nung bagyong and yung flood talaga is isa pa yon sa mga nag-cause ng mga damages, long-term damages. So yun. So the primary cause of environmental degradation is the increase in human population. So overpopulation, which is associated with industrialization and agriculture, mining, fishing, yung deforestation, pagpuputol ng mga puno, environmental pollution, exploitation of biodiversity leads to the destruction of habitats. So yun, mga environmental pollution, mga mining, mga fishing, yung pangingisda na gumagamit ng mga dinamita, deforestation, especially deforestation, and pagpapatayo ng mga building na makakasira sa kalikasan. So, overpopulation is associated with this kind of destruction. So, it leads to the destruction of habitats. So, the introduction of exotic species, poaching of wildlife, and technological developments are also causes of biodiversity loss. These activities interfere with the natural order of existing ecosystems. So, technology has played a role in the changes happening to ecosystem habitats and biodiversity. These are the impacts of biodiversity loss. So, we have here. So, the illegal logging, yung pagsusunog ng gubat, this it change in the biodiversity loss. So when the trees are cut, carbon dioxide is sent back to the atmosphere, thus increasing the amount of greenhouse gases in the environment. So the amount of gases in the environment increases. Biodiversity loss can also contribute to climate change. Climate change, pest infestations, infestations, and then diseases. So it can contribute to climate change, pest infestations, and then we have the diseases. Pati tayo is maaapektuhan. Biodiversity is a source of food and medicine, energy and nutrients. Yes, it provides humans the resources in order to survive. So any disruption or destruction in the Earth's biodiversity will also affect the life and health of the people. So as you can see here, the pictures, these are the loss of biodiversity and extinction. So tingnan nyo, ito yung Earth natin noon. So kapag pinabayaan natin, ano mangyayari sa ating mundo? And we have destroyed 83% of wild mammals and 50% of all plants. So kung ganon yung mangyayari sa ating ecosystem, sa ating environment, anong mangyayari sa atin? It will not only the life and health of not only the life of animals and plants, but also the life and health of the people will be affected by this destruction of the Earth's biodiversity. So the destruction of the environment may also cause mental distress among humans. Okay. So nakaka-distract din kapag medyo na overpopulated na yung nasa paligid natin. Minsan din it will cause mental distress sa mga tao. So kung yung paligid mo is masyadong na madumi, yung paligid mo is puro usok, yung paligid mo is wala ka na makikitang mga puno, mga fresh air, it will also cause mental distress among humans. So pollution can adversely affect one's physical health and well-being. So it can also cause physical health and well-being sa mga, if overpopulation na nga, then lumalaga na pa rin yung pollution dito sa atin. So tingnan nyo. So meron tayong tinatawag na pressures of biodiversity, pressures to biodiversity. So these are the following several factors that put pressure on biodiversity locally and globally. So the number one is the habitat destruction. So in habitat destruction, ano yon? So the way humans rapidly alter the ecosystem can decrease species diversity and may cause species extinction. So deforestation results in the loss of natural habitats of birds. So kung patuloy tayong patuloy natin yung pagsira ng ating kalikasan, is syempre mawawala ng tirahan yung mga animals, and mawalan sila ng matitirahan. Invasive alien species and the high population density and growth rates. So yung overpopulation. Climate change. So climate change, so it is the direct and dominant driver of biodiversity loss. So Asian countries are predicted to be the most vulnerable to the effects of climate change. And number 5, we have the illegal wildlife trade. So according to the ASEAN, almost 100 million animals are being hunted for their meat. So illegal wildlife trade, which directly reduces biodiversity, is valued at $10 to $20 billion. So wag nating hahayaan na magkaroon ng ganyan. Number 6 is deficiencies in the knowledge on biodiversities. So yung kulang sa kaalaman, sa knowledge kung ano ba talaga yung ibig sabihin ng biodiversity. So dapat public awareness and education on the importance of biodiversity are necessary to conserve it. So kailangan yung consciousness natin, raising consciousness among people, among individuals and communities, may help in addressing threats to the Earth's biodiversity and improving natural ecosystem. So by means of that, we can help each other. We can help each other in addressing threats to the Earth's biodiversity and improve natural ecosystems. Kapag yung alam natin when it comes to yung knowledge natin when it comes to the definition of biodiversity, we can help each other in addressing threats to the Earth's biodiversity. Baka maprotektahan pa natin yung ecosystem natin, yung environment natin, yung kapaligiran natin. The number 8, inadequate enforcement of environmental laws and poor political will. So regulations, policies, and laws have been enacted to preserve the environment. However, they are not properly enforced. So yes, sinasabi natin yung mga regulations, policies, and laws, they are being enacted to preserve the environment. Pero hindi gaanong nakikita, hindi gaanong na kumbaga kulang sa actions yung ginagawa natin, yung ginagawa sa atin. Hindi masyado nakikita when it comes to actions. And failure to put value on the environment. So number 8, failure to put value on the environment. So according to the study, the value of ecosystem services amount to $33 trillion per year. And majority of the value of these services is outside the market system. So, failure to put value on the environment, kung gaano natin papahalagahan yung kalikasan natin. So, meron tayong protocols na tinatawag. These are the protocols on biodiversity. So, there is a need to enhance the implementation of regulations and worldwide protocols such as the Montreal Protocol and Kyoto Protocol para mas ma-manage natin, mas maprotektahan natin ang ating biodiversity. So, we have here the Montreal Protocol and Kyoto Protocol. What are the difference between this protocol? So, the Montreal Protocol on substance that deplete the ozone layer, it is an international agreement made in 1987. It was designed to stop the production and import of ozone depleting substances and reduce their concentration in the atmosphere to help protect the Earth's ozone layer. And how about the Kyoto Protocol? It is an international agreement that aimed to manage and reduce carbon dioxide emissions and other greenhouse gases. So we can kailangan natin malaman yung itong protocols na to protect the Earth's ozone layer. And meron pa tayong isang tinatawag na Cartagena Protocol. It aims to ensure the safe transport, handling, and the use of living, modified organisms resulting from modern biotechnological that may have adverse effects on biodiversity. Okay, so the protocols, those protocols, locally, it is strict implementation of environmental laws among industries and communities alike must be ensured to prevent further damage of biodiversity from air pollution and water pollution. So, there should also be efforts to ensure that whatever treatment is employed, kailangan, it should not promote mass pollution, transfer from one matrix of the environment to another. So we need to protect our environment. We need to have enough knowledge on what biodiversity is. So protect the earth by providing all the necessary information about biodiversity. So we need to protect our biodiversity. Most of the time, it may seem impossible to really value species singly or in a detailed manner, but we have to consider the entire Earth as a single unit. A loss of single-celled species or a family of wild grass can have adverse effects in the entire biosphere. So yung biodiversity seen in a macro level seems to be still vast and rich. Yet, if we look at it in micro levels per species, we have lost too much. Eventually, in the near future, yung biodiversity loss will have a great negative effects, especially to us humans. So the value of biodiversity is the value of everything. So we should know how to protect and how to value biodiversity. So we must recognize the value of the organism with which we share the planet. So, we do not and probably cannot ever evaluate such services adequately, but we can value the ecosystems of the world appropriately. So that's all. Thank you and God bless.